All right, guys. I literally just walked in the door, changed my shorts, cause I just got off work. But I have some plans later today, and I wanted to make sure that I did my weekend AMA because the weekends are busy right now, man. So studying on the weekends, studying a little bit after work, not as much. I recently got contracted out to build a course on Angular. That's going to take a lot of time up writing the book. For those of you who don't know, I've been working on a podcast with somebody, and we filmed about 6 episodes. We're doing a 24 episode season, so lots of stuff like that. But that brings me somewhat to my point of don't put all your eggs in one basket, sort of thing. This is more of a life decision than anything else. When it comes, and you can put it all in the software basket, but don't necessarily put it all in PHP or something, or just Node. Explain it in your mind. But something very funny happened today. So if you noticed recently, I about 3 months ago, I put a free asynchronous JavaScript course out onto SkillShare, and today I got an email saying that they have banned my account because that content is not my own. I don't know what else I have to do to make it my own, but so obviously it's a misunderstanding, but this is important for you to understand, and this is why I tell people, like, when it comes to your career in general, like, don't count on your employer, don't count on anybody but yourself. Diversify your income, get passive income streams, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, if YouTube decided they wanted to kick my account, and this has happened to other YouTubers, hopefully I've built up some other incomes on Udemy, maybe pretty soon a podcast, some other courses out there. So you have to keep that in mind, is that you want to diversify, and that goes with your skill set as well, and pretty much every aspect of life. So it's one of those things that happens, but you want to make smart decisions. So but I definitely wanted to make sure that with everything going on, this is something I say I've told myself that for as long as I am able, which I'm pretty good right now, but you never know. Your boy's aging. I just got a second dog. Eventually, I got 3 cats, 2 dogs, and a girlfriend. Man, I'm dying slowly every day. There's just not enough going around. Speaking with Tito in the background, my office upstairs, ever since we got the new puppy. I don't think I told you guys we got a new puppy, did I? Yeah, we got a new puppy. Let me see. So both my dogs are Australian Shepherds. Let me see if I can bring her up. She's cute, man. So Gator needed a friend. Let me ask April, bring her up. Hey, baby, can you bring Boise up here real quick so I can show the channel our new love child? She's gonna bring her up, guys. She's cute, man. She's tiny, but she's gonna grow. She's the same type of dog as Gator. Gator's definitely on the big end of Australian Shepherds. But she needed a friend. You need that row back? Tell me about it, man. So for those of you who haven't seen my 8-month-old puppy, Gator, come here. Show everyone. He's a little wet right now. He's in the back here. Up. Show him how big you are, big boy. Oh, so he's a little over 60 pounds right now. He's going to grow a little bit. And then here is his new friend, Bella. Or not Bella. Why do I keep calling her Bella? I keep calling her Bella. Boise. So she's also purebred Australian Shepherd and standard. So she's probably going to be around 40 to 55 pounds, depending how big she gets. Females are a little bit smaller, like about 20 pounds smaller than males. And Gator's on the big end of males. Oh, buddy. Okay. All right. But they're pals. You can see they're playing right now. Gator's so happy. Anyhow, this isn't a puppy stream. Hey, Don't bite her paw. All right, thank you, baby. Uh, anyhow, guys, so um, things are going well. He did grow up fast. You think we were feeding this little puppy some we're gonna breed him to fight or something? He's looking like he's on some roids. You like the April learns to code video? A lot of people like that because they can see. It's one thing when you see like take me for instance, right? I'm not an amateur. I do this professionally, and you just, for the most part, it's a fluid sort of process. You get to see things when a mistake is made. After some time, you get to see a resolution. It makes sense, right? But you go and you get an amateur, and then it's like, why is a square not a circle? I don't understand, sort of thing. And it's like you're asking strange questions because you don't know any better. That's all. What's the most important thing to ace at the coding interview startup? It's actually more than one thing. One is culture. Be the type of person that they want to hire. Someone who's passionate, someone who's interested, someone who wants to be there. And you got to nail those technical interviews. That's really it. Passion and skill. Culture and skill. Hi, Dylan. Would you suggest an aspiring web dev to make YouTube videos to help with credibility and networking with people? Cheers. I would suggest a unique project, whether that's YouTube, whether that's a blog, whether that's starting a podcast, that's what I would suggest. Building maybe a component library that gets widely used. Just find a passion and move forward with it. Captain Alpha, we're not going to be in here to debug your code, unfortunately. I wish you the best, though, man. I do. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm writing this book and it's going very slowly. I don't even think I'm going to get it out this year. I think it's going to be an end of next year project. But one thing that I write in there is about unique projects and how sometimes the most important projects don't really involve code. They make you a better developer, and I do a good example of side projects, bad example of side projects, good example of contract work, bad example of contract work. You can write a book. You want to write a book? Write a book. I know it's intimidating, it's hard, but that's the type of stuff that distinguishes you from everybody else, and employers like that. Oh, now you're gonna have to have the skills to back it up. Hey, buddy. So my office has become the hangout place for the cats who are overwhelmed by the two dogs. They're handling it pretty well though. What I mean about not put all your eggs in one basket, be prepared. Just like when you, I'll give you an example of my personal life. When I was like, hey, I'm gonna go all in on the whole let's go and become a dev thing, I did it while it was true that I dropped out of college, but I did go ahead and choose a job that went in the industry. I had a plan. I had executable action. When I say, hey, I want to make, at some point in my career, I will probably take a pay cut and go teach at a boot camp. It's just, no matter, even boot camps pay really well, and they pay pretty good. They can't really compete with companies that deal in the billions in revenue. They can't deal with that. So, benefit wise and cash wise, and it's just not something you can deal with. So when I make that jump, when I decide that I want to go teach at a boot camp, what I will do is I will have other revenue streams. I'll have other things that, if this boot camp works out, it's a much riskier thing than working at some global enterprise corporation, I will be prepared for the worst case scenario. when I moved to Idaho and didn't work out, I had other things planned. I wasn't, as all in as I was, there was still an exit plan. Because you always have to have an exit plan. Not necessarily because things aren't going to work out, but what if a better opportunity comes? I don't know anything about Canada's importing of developer policy. So Kassan says, I just saw your video about cheating devs. So for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, I give there's a lot of developers, and this is something I used to try and be less candid about this, but the truth of the matter is the majority of developers are bad, and if you get good, you'll have a very easy time. So, a lot of developers, not a lot, but a portion of developers cheat to get their jobs. They, they have friends do their take-home projects and stuff like that. Do you ever think about, like, why do we actually even have to interview developers like we do? Why do we have to give them skills tests and technical tests and this and that? One, it's great because you actually could see what they know, but why? Why is it? The reason for it is because the skill level varies so dramatically, and a lot of people can bullshit their way through for a while. Companies, once you're in, won't really fire you. It's very rare. It's very rare for a company to cut somebody after they hire them, as crazy as it sounds. I've worked at companies where they're 2 years in. Since day one, they haven't started working out. They say, oh, he didn't work out in this role. Let's just shift him to this role. Oh, he didn't work out in this role. Just shift him to this role. 3 different roles before they finally cut somebody. And so you still collect 2 years of paycheck. So what's it look like on your resume? To anybody who calls, anyone who looks at your resume, hey, man, this guy's got 2 years experience. That looks great. So it's how they survive. Well, we're a team. We live and die as a team, and in a Scrum environment. And so you try to raise them up. You try to teach them, and eventually your hope is that they carry their weight. Not everybody does. What projects am I working on? Can't talk about that. Do I plan on being web dev for the long term? I plan on being in anything that pays me well, has a good amount of jobs, and is growing, and that's web dev. Does that mean I wouldn't move to mobile or machine learning? No, I probably wouldn't move to mobile. So mobile's not growing as fast as web dev, for one. There's not as many jobs, too, and I don't know about pay. But DevOps will be something I probably naturally transition to, not full time, but I feel very proficient in the front end. I'm getting there in the back end, and once I get there in the back end, which might take me a year and a half before I'm like, all right, I got it. Like, no problem, whatever. Everything about it I got. Year and a half is what I would say. DevOps is sort of the next natural transition to not full time, but you're going to pick up those skills. Now, machine learning, data science. The truth of the matter is, by the time I'm interested in going into data science, I'm hoping to already be financially set enough to be retired. So my goal is to be retired at the latest by 2030, but hopefully by the time I'm 40, which is in 9 years. That's my goal. Dylan, these days I'm worried as a black guy of getting some kind of special treatment or attention when I get into the field. I know you I know you wouldn't know firsthand. For the waist down, brother. No, but have you heard any truth to this? No. I will say that I have heard that certain organizations I've worked for have talked openly about trying to hire more female developers, but they give them the same opportunities that they give the male developers, and if they succeed, they succeed. If they don't, they don't. Now, I would say this: if you're lucky enough to get hired based for your very first job, for your junior level role based off of your ethnicity, based off of your challenges, based off of your what. Take it, man. Who cares? Like, look, are you gonna go in there and kill it? Maybe not at first, but your goal is to be a developer. Get there any means necessary. I look at it this way. Say I had an older brother. I don't, but let's say I do, and he's a developer. Would I not accept a handout of a job? I'm not saying that's what it is, but this is your concern, right? You're saying you're concerned you're going to get a handout based off of your ethnicity. Would you not take a job if your brother was there and was like, hey, come on, man, we're going to give you a shot. You're my bro. No problem. Of course you would. So there's going to be so many hardships for all of us in our careers, in our lives, whether that's your job, whether that's your relationship, whether that's your family, whether that's your finances. There are going to be so many bumps that if you get a lucky break, just make the most of it. That's all you have to say. But I don't think you need to worry about it, with that being said. Have you gotten to the point where you're no longer intimidated whenever you have to complete a new story at your job? For the most part, yeah. But what about the resentment from other developers? No developers are resentful. Look, man, at the end of the day, they're going to hire you because they like you. D. Mills, I'm not saying that this is the case. This is his concern. Would you ever consider transitioning to remote work? Yes. Yeah. Here, I'll give you an example. So you see what I'm wearing right now? You see what I'm wearing right now? I got a gaming shirt on. I got some some $10 gym shorts that have like tears in them from my cats and whatnot. I normally would have some flip flops on, $10 flip flops. When I would go to look at houses, mind you, I make a lot of money, and they pre-approved me. I only asked to be pre-approved for $350, but they said they could give me $750,000. So I was like, no, just pre-approve me for $350. I'm gonna look at homes in the $250. So I show up, and I show up, and I'm just getting disrespected from the get go. They basically just thought I was there to waste their time. Look at it, and by the way, I drive like a Mitsubishi Mirage, which is a 3-cylinder car. It's nice. It's 2015, but it's 3 cylinders. It doesn't have any hubcaps on them because they fall off. So I just took them off. So I'm getting profiled in the sense like, oh man, just look at this broke guy right here and right there. And then they would always ask me. This is how I knew. They would always ask me if I was pre-approved, and they would also ask what I do, and very rude. It's all very rude. But when they started showing some respect after I was like, I'm a software engineer, their attitudes have changed. And what I'm trying to say is like, do I look at them in a different light? Of course I do. But do I not take advantage of the fact that now they know I'm ready for business? Now I know that they are going to treat me better and right and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. So take advantage of whatever good situations come in your life, even if it has nothing to do with you. Like literally, the fact that I'm not dressed the way they think. If I showed up let me put it this way: if I showed up in my work clothes, I don't go to work like this. I go to work, I got khakis on. I usually wear some like Nikes, even though I'm not supposed to. And then I got like a nice collared shirt on, that I got from like H&M, something like that. Hair's a little bit better. I'm looking professional. If I show up in like that, they're going to treat me nice. Why wouldn't I take advantage of like, oh, well, this guy looks like he has a job versus that he just rolled off the couch playing Halo or whatnot. So Anyhow, what more often than not, don't even worry about it. It's not a concern. I don't think it's something you should worry about because at the end of the day, maybe you get the interview because of it, but you're not going to get the job because of it in a worst case scenario. Um, anyhow, man, I can't even talk about this stuff. They don't want like us white guys talking about anything that has to do with the race. They're gonna get me in trouble. But here's the thing, Master of the Mash. I want you to instead focus your energy on just getting a job, getting better. And what you're probably feeling more than anything else is a little bit of pre-imposter syndrome. And maybe the race aspect is just part of that. That would be what my assumption would be, because we all sort of feel imposter. Not all. Some people don't, and those are usually the bad ones, or they just are oozing of confidence. So I don't think it has anything to do with your race. I think what you're feeling right now is just a little bit of imposter syndrome, and that's okay. It's natural, man. Oh man. It's funny though, because statistically speaking, there aren't that many. Here we go. Politically correct. African Americans is I think that's still politically correct in tech. But at every single job I've had, either one of my close colleagues or my boss has been black. So I don't know if that's just a Florida thing, and maybe they're basing those stats off who works in San Francisco, which is a bunch of old ass white people. Do you have any real advice for developing a good relationship with the team as a new person in the company? Yes. The first week or two, sort of keep your opinions to yourself. Um, um, and see how they do things. Once you do that, feel free to sort of speak up and encourage yourself. But more often than not, just try to get to know people, man. Go to lunch with them, shoot the shit with them, grab a coffee with them in the morning. You see, just sort of talk to them. Don't be that guy that just goes to his desk and is quiet and creepy. Like, just open up. Opening up about like what you're passionate about, that's the sort of stuff people get to know you about. Um, am I happy with the new job? Yeah, I really am. Um, it's the team is still being built out, but I'm happy, man. I like my boss. So every good job has a great boss, and I'm a fan of my boss. It's a little bit of a unique circumstance because when you work for such a large company that has hundreds of locations and hundreds of corporate offices, sometimes you have a lot of teammates um, that are like international, and so like my boss is actually in Dallas. So I haven't even met him, but I talk to him pretty much every day, and it's cool, man. I've done one sprint with the team now. It's been about 2 weeks. I'm trying to. So things that are important to me. So like here, things that drive me nuts as a professional, like I need other developers to understand that they are professional software engineers. And so what I mean by that is you need to know how to code, you need to know how to do testing, you need to know your languages and your frameworks professional. If your code looks like an intern wrote it, or your code looks like you just had no thought process in it, that bothers me. And so I'm not saying that's the case, but that's oftentimes what I focus on when I go into a new workplace is how can I get these people around me up to my standards. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with my new job, man. For the most part, it's low stress. It's a different experience for me. Um, it's in the sense that there's a lot of unique company aspects. Um, so Billy Coatso says, I worked my ass off for a year and they only offered me 30K at the end to continue with them. Sucks. So, were you working as a developer? What were you doing, Billy? But this is a good point. Is I have said time and time again that the way to get higher salaries and the way to grow is actually to leave. Most companies, you'll get bigger raises to leave until you hit sort of the cap. The soft cap is what I like to call it. I'm at the soft cap at in the there is a place where uh there's a place where you have to work your way up in a company or go from there. It's pretty. I sort of hit that. Not that it's a bad thing, but early on in your career, you definitely just want to jump jobs. Um, Stephen Vicious, I plan on applying to my first dev job in a couple of months. I'm pretty decent using the Mern stack. How long should I stay at my first dev job before leaving for a higher paying job? This depends a lot on your company benefits. It depends a lot on a lot of things, but for the most part, 6 months, a year at the most. So around 6 months, I would start getting my LinkedIn together. I'd start looking at places and seeing what's out there. I'd start applying, reaching back out to those recruiters, and what I would pay wise, you're going to find out where you're at. And what I would say is leave for 20K. That's basically it, unless you have a better reason. So like the first time I left a job was I was starting to dislike the company for the last 6 months, and just getting really high stress, and I wasn't getting any better, which was the worst part. And so I left for an 8K raise, but that 8K raise, a year later, went up to a 30K raise, and then now I'm making more than that and whatnot. So you have to, there's things to weigh, but that's a rough general answer. You were doing AI, software engineering, and Android app development and backend? Yeah, man, you should be getting. I mean, depending on where you are in the world, I don't know where you're at, Billy, but in the U.S., you're at 6 figures doing AI software engineering entry level. Will being a full stack developer increase your value as a junior? Yes. It'll also have you understand more parts of the application, which will make you a good junior developer. Look at this cat, man. Look at him. Hey, Tito. Good boy. Can I take a quick look at your portfolio and tell you how garbage it is? Sorry, man. But yeah, Billy, man. One of the worst things that I hear is people working hard at jobs, and like I gave you a if you guys ever saw my if you ever saw my video that I talked about free internships. So this is a great example to sort of Billy's story. It sort of reminds me of this. Is that statistically speaking, if you take a free internship on your resume, it's worth 3% higher than someone without a free internship. And if they decide to hire you, so they're 2/3 less likely to hire you after a free internship. But if they decide to hire you, you will make 40% less than someone who took a paid internship. So if you take a paid internship, you're about 2/3 more likely to get hired, and you are going to get 40 or 60% more money, or some ridiculous amount. So your time is oftentimes better spent just studying and waiting it out for a good paid internship than an unpaid internship. And honestly, if a company can't afford to pay you, I'd be a little worried. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the new job. I get to work remote 2 days a week to start. I'm probably going up to 3 in a week or two. It just sort of depends, but that's pretty dope. I got no complaints about that. What I think about certificate security focused. So I don't know too much about security. All I can tell you is that I saw one guy on LinkedIn the other day who he has a bachelor's in software engineering from Western Governors University, which is I thought it was a shitty program when I did it for one semester, but it's something. He went to a security boot camp, so he has a certificate there, and that guy was struggling to get a job in network security. Or in security in general, like cybersecurity. So anyhow, what I'm trying to tell you is I don't know. I'm a little scared of the field, but that's just one anecdotal evidence. Um, the truth of the matter is companies don't care about security. It's jacked up, but the majority of companies don't. What part of being a working developer that's typically not talked about due to it having a non-issue for working developers, but is something non-working developers would never touch? Non-issue. I don't know. You have to rephrase that. That sentence is like trying to find where's Waldo in there, man. I don't know about all that. So Billy Costas, you worked at a startup in Los Angeles for a year, unpaid, and once they got funding, they offered you $30K to continue. That sounds like extortion. It sounds, yeah. Yeah. In London, I've heard about this. I've heard for whatever reason the UK doesn't seem to pay developers very well. I don't know. It's just the job market. I know UK specifically. London is expensive, so I don't know what to tell you, man. Shit's rough. um, Also, another reason why I don't really recommend startups. They're cool for junior level roles. It's easier to get in. Just 1 second, guys. I gotta write this. Do you think a developer's ability to solve algorithms actually shows their skill level? Basic ones. Yeah. I think if you can't reverse a string, I think if you can't if I tell you pull out the numbers, I give you an array of numbers and you can't filter out the ones that are greater than 5. Yeah. You give me some three-dimensional array that you want to turn it and make a zigzag in 3 different ways. No, I don't think so. I think that's just bullshit. But I think if you can't do low level ones, then I've seen all I needed to. How long should a person work in a startup company? Depends, man. Some of those startups give you equity. That equity takes 4 or 5 years to mature. As a currently employed developer, what was something you'll never learn as an unemployed dev? That's a much better way of putting that. Agile fundamentals, Scrum, Kanban. These are things that most people don't even know exist, as well as testing. Testing's something that a lot of people know. And DevOps to a degree, right? How many of us actually go and set up pipelines and things like that? That's why DevOps is such a unique role, and it's hard to fill because it's hard to get people. No one's like, yeah, I'm going into DevOps. like it's more so one of those things where you sort of fall into it, I want to say, or you do it at work, you pick it up at work, and naturally now you're the DevOps guy. Should you read the book You Don't Know JS? You should read anything that you're interested in, but You Don't Know JS is pretty good. I don't understand how someone shows up to an interview without being able to do simple stuff like reversing a string. A lot of it is they've just been copying and pasting shit for so long. I had an assignment where I did 90% of the work. This is when I was doing front end only. And all that had to be done was two API services had to be written for the whole thing to work. And then all he had to do was go in the front end, build the service where all he's doing is calling it, inject it into the component, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It might have been 4 services. It was basically a CRUD application. I did all of it in 2 weeks, handed it off to a contractor, and 7 or 8 or 9 months later, still didn't have it done, and still didn't have it done, and never did. That project never went anywhere. They finally fired the guy. I did all. I'm not kidding, man. All he had to do was create. There had to be a get all, a get by ID, a delete by ID, and an update by ID. And this isn't like one of those, in the Philippines or something where you're paying someone a very low wage. This was an American contracting company where they make probably twice what I make. Maybe they don't get it, but the contracting company gets it. Do you need to be good at math to be a good programmer? No, you probably should be good at basic algebra. What are the low-level algorithms we should know besides reverse string fizzbuzz and filtering? You shouldn't memorize any of these things. You just practice because they're gonna vary based on organization. No one's gonna give you one that you know. They're gonna give you problems in difficulty range that are like that. Yeah, is Kanban and Docker really useful? You're probably more likely to use Scrum than Kanban at organizations because companies like Scrum a lot more. If you want to get better, the Bayless code, I recommend my 100 algorithm challenge course where we go over about 100 of the most likely ones. They'll help prep you. What do I think about Salesforce? So I don't know too much about it. What I can tell you is that if you get a job in Salesforce, that it's going to be at an enterprise level company and they're going to pay pretty well. There's not a lot of Salesforce developers out there. With that being said, it's very niche. So if there ever does become a lot of Salesforce developers out there, it may be something a little bit rough. Do I still work with Angular? Yes. Yeah, Salesforce pays pretty well. And it's one of those skills that I don't know how you pick it up on your own. Yeah, not to say that there's not low-cost paying Salesforce jobs, but it definitely depends on the company. Just like there's low-paying. Low-paying dev roles than anything. I'm 32. Can I start now and get a job abroad? You can start whenever, man. What's the alternative? How often do I work with TypeScript? Every day. That includes side projects. That includes work. What is the average pay for seniors out where you live? Senior software engineer salary. Let's see here. Salary, Tampa. The average pay is $96,973 according to Pay Scale for a senior software engineer. So about 100K or so. Plan on ever relocating in DC? No. Can we really trust PayScale, Glassdoor, Salary.com? I mean, what do you mean trust? Lots of jobs everywhere, man. I go anywhere in the country, really. But no, DC is just too expensive. The only place I'll ever move to is some place that's cheaper or cold. I want to go someplace cold eventually. Accuracy of reported salaries? I mean, what else are you going to go off of? Also, that's just reported. They make 96,000 on average. I'll clear 130K from working. So it's like, it's all relative, and their ranges also. So like the range on here is 75,000 to 130,000. And senior software engineer covers a lot of different things. So how was I able to increase my salary so fast over 3 years? I job hopped a lot, and I learned a lot of new technologies, and I learned principles and I spent time getting better. Every single day I came home. If you want to find out how I increased my salary, just go watch the How Much Money I Made video where I talk about that. Yeah, I just made sure I got better. I made sure I learned new things. I made sure I continued to grow. How old am I? I'm 31 years old. When did I start? I've been this year in September or October will be 3 years of full-time dev experience. Think about that. And I probably started really learning a year and a half before that. I'm not even at 3 years of dev experience. So, I mean, work hard, study, educate yourself, learn things like solid principles, learn things like model view controller, learn in depth, actually learn your language of choice, stay up to date on it, learn current things, continue to grow every year. Every year I come up with a plan of how I'm going to grow. Yeah. My first job was 62,000. Now, 2.5 years later, I've doubled it. That's counting my bonus, though. All right. Am I fully remote now? In school, is it very C++ very widely used now? How do I meet Engineer Truth? Engineer Truth and I are boys, man. We went to middle school together since the 6th grade. We've known each other, as crazy as it sounds, for 20 years. 20 years. That makes me feel old as shit saying that. Is there any point to knowing C++? Yeah, I'm sure it's used by some things. I would say, it's used more so by desktop applications. You're much better off learning something like C#. Do you guys still talk? Yeah, man, we talk pretty frequently. Talked to him just last week. I'm thinking of going out to the Philippines to visit him in January or February. So odd that we became YouTubers? Not really. I mean, if you think about it, what you are accumulation of the 5 people you surround yourself with, right? Um, I try and surround myself with people who have similar mindsets. And Matt and I have been talking about just like making money and not working in corporate America. Granted, I am, but about income streams and stuff like that for many years. And so when he started a YouTube channel, now he's telling me about it, telling me how great it's working out, this and that. And I was like, hey, I can do that. So it's probably a very natural thing. How do you deal with self-doubt of being a programmer? I mean, in terms of learning and speeding up, you should probably have prepared better before the boot camp, in all honesty. Roxas Heart, how's it going, man? In terms of dealing with self-doubt as a programmer, just get good. That's probably the best way. Are web devs isolated? Depends on the company. What other languages have you learned besides JavaScript? Mainly just JavaScript. What else do I need to know? I mean, I've coded in, not professionally. The only other 2 languages I've coded in professionally have been PHP and C Sharp. I wouldn't say I know either of those. I've played around in Ruby. I've played around in Python, C Sharp, C++. I think I already said C Sharp, C++. But yeah, I mean, I'm a JavaScript guy. Great thing about full stack JavaScript, that's all you need to know. But what you'll learn, guys, is that the language isn't important as you progress in your career. It's important that you know how to use the language, but when it's time to transition to another one, you just have to put the same time and effort into learning that as any other. Yeah, you definitely want to build stuff. That's always crucial. Really, the best thing you can do in your career is just continue learning. I do full stack JavaScript, guys. So that's what I work in. The old mean stack. Yes, Node, Angular, Mongo, all that stuff. Yeah, my last job did Vue, and that was fun. I liked Vue. I like Angular better though. Not a fan of React. In school, we have to take a bunch of math classes. Yeah, that's how I remember my CS program. Yeah, you spend more time in math and physics and general ed than you do actual programming classes. Next major milestone for me. Well, I just became a senior software engineer. Going to really master the back end. I've spent the last 2 years doing front end or so. So that will be one thing. In terms of major milestones, releasing the podcast, something I'm very excited about. Finishing this Angular course for a large platform that I'm working on. Building a couple courses for SkillShare. That's not really a major milestone, but trying to think. Probably the next major milestone for me will be a tech lead or team lead sort of position in a professional sense in the office. That's really my goal professionally, is to go and become a lead and then sort of start to mentor some of these developers, because that's really what I enjoy. I mean, I like building stuff, don't get me wrong, but I more so like teaching. So that would be something that I would very much look forward to. Any new Udemy courses in the pipeline? I got a couple things. Not anytime soon, though. I'm mainly just building out syllabuses. Does being a senior mean I have to watch over a mentor? Not really. It depends on the organization. You'll probably be asked more questions just if you're a more knowledgeable person. You just happen to be a senior dev, but no. Some organizations, yes, but not really. Probably, and here's the thing. Most companies don't have any real good onboarding tech process. It's just not something that happens. I haven't been at one. I do hear like Facebook has like a boot camp they put you through for 6 weeks, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I do have a pretty cool. I haven't started working on it, but I've been building a syllabus. It's called the 100 component challenge, and what I basically do is I build 100 components with you. Things like modals. Some are functionality, like turning a JSON object into a Excel file, building loading icons, stuff. Creating little components, animations, effects. So I'm calling it the 100 component challenge, and I haven't fully. Right now, I'm up to like 52 things, and like that's why I say I'm building a syllabus. I just think of things, or like I do something at work. I'm like, I should add that. Like something just triggers, right? So that's I'm building that syllabus out, and I'll slowly be doing that. And I think the majority of that, I have to decide if I want to do a framework with it or just vanilla JavaScript. I think I'm going to do vanilla JavaScript, TypeScript most likely, but yeah, I think that's going to be what I want to do. You enjoyed the video, the cheater video this morning? Have a good shopping trip, Chase. How do you deal with the stress of being overloaded with projects? Well, how do I put this? Not very well, oftentimes. Which is the honest answer. Sometimes I don't deal very well with it. I come home, I don't look very happy. April can tell I'm not very happy. And at some point, so that continues for a week or two, maybe 3 at the absolute most. But at some point, you have to make a decision. One, you're going to go get another job because the stuff that's crippling you is just going to continue crippling you. 2, you're going to take a no fucks given attitude, which means you're just going to you're going to do your 40 hours and let everyone else deal with it. And sort of this stage at my career, that's sort of where I'm at. Such great lighting in this room, you think so? But yeah, Mountain Rose, it's hard, man. Some organizations are really focus a lot about keeping that stress level down, but not a lot. Do you have a degree? Look, man, the only degree I have is in the streets. All right. No, I don't have a degree. As crazy as it sounds, there's a community college just down the street from where I live, and my work will pay for like $5,500 worth of college courses. And I was thinking of taking one because I got to be close to like I got to be close to I'm close to a bachelor, so I got to be close to an associate. So I was thinking like, what if I just took one course at this community college, get some random associates just for fun, see what it's like. I like to do different things, and honestly, in a couple of years I won't have the time. Yeah, but no, I don't have a degree. Do you take days off? I don't really take days off, but I don't go as hard. Nowadays, I don't work as hard as I used to. That's the honest answer. So, you know, I might put half an hour to 2 hours in a day. But I put a half an hour in. I always slowly add a little bit of value to my side projects, this and that. Maybe not as much as I wanted, but there is this careful balance of not overwhelming yourself at home, right? Because you're working for another company. You have to show up on Monday refresh. You got to go in. You have to continue to do. They're the ones paying me. They're the ones keeping the lights on. I do make money outside on side projects, but not enough. So do I take days off? No, not unless I go out of town or something like that. But I do not work. I don't work as hard as I used to. I'm gonna be honest about that. But like here, I'll give you an example today. Today, on my lunch break, I wrote a little bit of my book for about 15-20 minutes. And then this is an hour. Yesterday, I put about 15 minutes into a Node course that I'm doing. I also edited and recorded a video for YouTube that was about an hour. Later tonight, I'm doing a mentoring session. So, what's my favorite Windows operating system? It's been so long since I've used anything but Windows 10 that pretty much every Windows except was it Windows 8 that was like tablet focused, sort of the same. I'm just happy to use a Windows environment. I've had to use iOS things before and I hated it. But yeah, I'm one of those guys that like to jump around in projects. I don't know it's the best thing to do, but it helps. It's what keeps it fun for me. So like, that's why like you guys are a little bummed out at times. Where like, where's that course you're talking about? I'm working on it, but I'm only working on it twice a week, and I'm working on other things 5 days a week because that's how I keep it fun. I can't just sit there and type out a whole book. Sometimes I have to though, like at a job. Sometimes I have to when it's like this course that I signed on for. I committed to getting this done. So, where do you see yourself after 5 years? Probably as a tech lead, a manager. I've launched my own web application, several courses, a book. Just really building that. Maybe instead of a tech lead or manager, maybe being like a developer advocate or something like that. That'd always be pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe teaching at a coding boot camp. 5 years is a long time. 5 years from now, I'd like to have 2 investment properties, maybe 3. Probably pop out a baby. If our baby plans go according to schedule, we should have a 2-year-old around then. If you're going to build a web app, what stack would you choose? Full stack JavaScript? How do you stay calm at work? It's another thing that I don't know that I do. What do you mean calm? Like you're so frustrated with your teammates calm, or you're just frustrated and you're just stressed calm? How long would you stay at your first junior dev job, getting paid crumbs for my work? You could leave as early as 3 months if you can go and get a better job. But 6 months to a year is typically it. I usually tell people to start applying at 6 months if you can really get a good pay bump. Learn everything you can, get in those peanuts, and then go get those, what's after peanuts? Go get those pistachios. Do you think about becoming a digital nomad, like even just for some months? Yeah, I think at some point in my life, April and I would go run a trailer, drive about, travel. I'll work remotely. Hey, thanks, Jeffrey. Good luck with your boot camp. I'd do the mean stack. Stress in general with work. Well, again, it goes back to I'll tell you how I deal with it. And sometimes I have to remind myself. What is the worst thing that your workplace could do to you? Like, what is the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is they can fire you with no severance. That's the worst case scenario. Now, if that's a life or death situation for you, because you're living paycheck to paycheck, you haven't been staying up to date on your skills, then that's a scary thing. Now, the way that I deal with the stress is I just make sure I'm good enough to go get a job tomorrow. Maybe I won't get paid as much. I got laid off this last job and make more money than I did before, so it can happen. But not to say you're still not going to be stressed, but at some point you have to say, I don't care anymore. I need to focus on my mental health. And so, right organizations will make sure that's the case. How do you stay up to date? The easiest thing is just to look at job apps, see what people are looking for. But the other thing I could tell you has helped me is giving up caffeine. I'm drinking caffeine again. So I'm just working a lot. It's an excuse, but it's the truth. I'm working a lot more than I should be. And so I've started drinking caffeine again. Not drinking caffeine has lowered my anxiety and stress. Exercising helps lower my anxiety and stress, something I'm also not doing. I don't know. Managing it and then just putting in the effort while you're there. Like, there's a lot of developers that code like 10 hours a week, and I'm not saying like they put 1/4 of the effort in for 40 hours. When I go to work, I put in all the effort. So when I leave, I feel good about what I accomplished, and I don't feel like I'm obligated to do anything else. And so it's a very mature stance you have to take in that fashion, and it's a hard one, and it's one that I struggle with today. But I've had managers who have asked me to work overtime in a situation that they shouldn't have, and I have. These are people I'm good buddies with, and I have, and it's one of the reasons I quit a job of mine, because they just kept on asking for more and more and more and more and more, and you know what? You got to the bottom. I ran out of gas. As our gas, and as my coworkers like to say, give a shits. So at some point, when you run out of gas or give a shits, you've sort of, you have to pull your foot off the lever, or you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose developers, and if you're in that environment, you might see if you can correct the environment. Chances are you can. It's usually a top-down thing. You just gotta find with ways dealing with it in your personal life. You find with ways to deal with it by maybe moving on. I don't know. Can I continue with PHP instead? No, you can do whatever you want. PHP developers, by and large, make less money, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. You should just enjoy making your portfolio site. Anyhow, guys, I gotta eat dinner and get started on some of those side projects I'm talking about. If you're interested in any of my courses, I highly recommend the 100 Algorithm Challenge. Links in the description below, as well as some books I recommend that you read to up your skill level. And with that being said, guys, I wish you all the best, and I will see you next time. Bye.